Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. I was at the earlier meeting before, and we got to chat with you just for a little bit and promised that we would come back if we were invited, and you guys were so kind and had us come back today. So did not want to miss it. Please. Please. Oh, wonderful. And I see 3 minutes. Is that okay?
No,
okay.
no, he'll let you know.
Let me know when there's 3. No problem. Absolutely. We want to be on time tonight. And the hook too. I promise you. We will stay very that's great. Well, good. And I know there's going to be an opportunity for questions, and really look forward to you all asking us questions about the campaign and anything that's on your minds. And I wanted to give you a little bit of an update and let you know how things have been going out there on the trail. It has been a phenomenal, phenomenal journey. As you all know, many of you, I was at the U.S. Attorney's Office as a federal prosecutor in Alexandria. I was in the Major Crimes and Narcotics Unit there, and I was also the deputy of the Human Trafficking Task Force. It was a job that I loved, and it was work that I loved, protecting our communities, keeping them safe, going after violent criminals, and so it was a very hard job for me to leave, except that I thought that we could do a significant amount of good as Attorney General of Virginia, focusing in on those issues of public safety, which are issues that I care very deeply about, that are part of my experience, my personal experience and my professional experience, and also issues of economic security. Our campaign theme has been about fighting for security and opportunity for all Virginians. It's a theme that we've taken around the state. We have gotten an incredible response everywhere around the state. We have been to Hampton Roads, we've been to Richmond, of course, all throughout Northern Virginia. We'll be spending significant time in Southside and Southwest Virginia. We started this campaign with the thought that we're going to run everywhere in this state. And we're going to run with a message that's going to resonate with everyone in this state, because it's focused on issues that our families care about, issues that people talk about around the kitchen table every single day, about how we're going to keep our homes and help more people who are struggling in this economic time, how we're going to make access to higher education something that's greater and more accessible for everyone, by cleaning up the private student lending market. I was at an event in Williamsburg where we spoke and got a phenomenal reception there, and a gentleman came up to me and said, we really wanted to come out tonight. We'd heard a lot about this message and this economic security. I literally just sat down earlier today at my house. So proud. His daughter was a senior in high school, had gotten into the college of her dreams, which was in Virginia. But he said he filled out the FAFSA form online, and it told him at the end, after he tallied it up, sorry, you make a little bit too much money. You're going to have to come up with $20,000 all on your own. And he literally had just found this out, and he didn't know what he was going to do. He didn't know where he was going to get this money. His daughter, practically in tears, and you could feel in that conversation, the reason that we're in this race. We need to make sure that more families don't go through that, that they all know that they're going to be able to send their kids to college, that their kids who have worked so hard and have dreamed so big, and just want the opportunity to change their lives, to better themselves, to move their family forward and to move our Commonwealth forward, that they're going to get that shot. And so, I talked with him. I've talked with folks all around the Commonwealth as we've traveled. This is something also that's very personal for me, because through education and through my family and my community, I was able to change everything about my circumstance in life. And we didn't have very much money growing up, but what we did have was a lot of faith that if we worked hard, that if we gave it our best effort, we would get that opportunity, and we would get that shot. And so I was able to go to college and later to law school because I could take safe loans, because I was able to get grants and scholarship and be supported in that way. I think that every single child in Virginia deserves that exact same shot. And that's what this campaign is about, giving them the security and the knowledge that we are going to be there for them. We are going to give them that opportunity, and the Attorney General of Virginia is someone who's going to fight for them and make sure they get that chance. We have also talked a lot about making sure people have more access to capital to start and grow small businesses. My beautiful wife, Dr. Serena Fairfax, and I, we live about 10 minutes from here in Annandale, and we also own a family dental practice that's right here in Fairfax, about 5 minutes away. We purchased that practice together about 6 years ago. And that has changed everything that's possible for our family. We have 2 young kids. We have a son who's 3 years old and a daughter who will turn 2 in May. And my wife loves being a dentist. She loves treating patients. That's her passion in life. But she also loves the knowledge that she got this opportunity to run her own practice, that we could have a family business was something that we had both all dreamed about. And that became real for us because we were given that opportunity, that access to capital. We were treated fairly in the markets. And there is nothing special about me or about my family that means we should be the only ones who gets access to that. That should be available to absolutely everybody here in this Commonwealth. Lenders should treat everyone with fairness and transparency and give them that same opportunity. And so that's what our message has been focused on. And public safety is another key component of our message. As a former federal prosecutor, I am someone who is passionate about making sure that people have safe communities, that they have safe homes, safe schools that our children can go to. I grew up in Washington, D.C., as many you know, in a very unsafe community. It was fraught with gangs and guns and drugs and violence. And that's in large part why I became a federal prosecutor. It's because I made a vow when I was very young that if I could use my career, my legal degree, and my life to help other people to have a much safer environment and safer community than what I had, that I would do that. And so I left a large law firm, a practice that I really loved, to become a federal prosecutor and to give folks that safe community. And so it was a passion for me. That's a passion I carry with me now and in this campaign. And so everything that we have focused on from a public safety standpoint has been about making sure our kids are safe in their homes, are safe in their schools, that we are reducing gun violence that threatens so many of our kids and so many of our families, that we are focusing on issues of trafficking. Again, I was the deputy of the Northern Virginia Human Trafficking Task Force. It's something that we have to combat. Drugs in our communities. These are all things that as a federal prosecutor I've done in terms of combating those things, cleaning up our communities, making sure that kids can dream bigger. And they know and have the security of knowing that they can go home and come back, get an education, live in a safe community and environment, and that they'll grow up and be able to come back to the places where they grew up, and that those places will be safe. And so, security and opportunity is what our campaign is about. It's what my life has been about. It has resonated so incredibly well all across the Commonwealth of Virginia. We have traveled, as I mentioned, to all parts of the state. The crowds are growing. You feel this enthusiasm about this message, about the energy that exists now in this race. People have said, I didn't know an attorney general could focus on those things. I didn't know they had the tools to focus on those things. And we tell them absolutely. We have seen that in other states to have AGs focus on that as their message and their platform and their mission. But we need that right here in Virginia. We have families who are looking to people in government, in all areas of life, to say, let's focus in on the issues that we really care about. Let's focus in on those things that we talk about every day as a family. How we keep our home and keep our home values. How we send our kids to school safely. How we make sure that there are opportunities for our kids when they leave school. And how we all maintain a safe community for everyone here in Virginia. And so, we've been to college campuses. We have spoken with the press. They have gotten incredibly interested in our race. As many of you know, Senator Tim Kaine's treasurer was an early co-chair of our campaign. We have since had a number of significant folks here in the state join us. Carrie Donnelly, who is a former state party chair and former mayor of Alexandria, has endorsed us and is supporting us. We've had a number of local elected officials come out in support of us, a number of activists, like this great group here tonight, people who are in the trenches, who have fought these fights and who care so passionately about what we can do for our families through public policy, through activism, and through caring and working together. And so we have gotten folks to join us on a broad spectrum. We have also done very well in this race. There was a straw poll that many of you may have seen. It was the Mount Vernon straw poll, the first one in the state. We were very fortunate, very pleased to have gotten nearly half the vote in that straw poll. We got 46% of the vote in the Mount Vernon straw poll a few weeks ago. That for us was a sign, looking back 6 months ago into where we've come now, of the enthusiasm, of the passion. This was something that was organic. This was something that people have said, enough is enough. We've had enough of King Cuccinelli. He has been a disaster in so many ways. He's focused us on so many of the wrong things, and he's done so many of the wrong things. We are totally, tired of what he's done and the platform that they pursued. But they've also said, we don't just want to play defense anymore against these, bad things the Republicans have done to us in Richmond and elsewhere. We're ready to play some offense on behalf of Virginia's families, on those issues that I've talked about and that we care so passionately about. And so, we hope that, we will get your support. We would love for you to join us in this effort, to join the many folks across this Commonwealth who are standing up and saying, we want to be focused on the families of Virginia again. We want to be focused on security and opportunity again. We want to be focused on what's possible again. We're tired of having our attention diverted to silly, petty political fights. The future of our Commonwealth and of our kids and of our families are at stake. And so that message has gone out. The support has grown. The excitement has grown. The crowds are growing. And we hope that with your support, we will continue to grow this campaign. We will continue to send this message out and let everyone know that we're here to fight for Virginia's families and that they will have a much, much brighter future because you all chose to fight with us. So thank you so much for your work. God bless you, and look forward to your questions. Thank you all very much. Please, and I don't know, I'm happy to field them from anywhere. Frank, I see you in the back. Thank you.
No, I'm just offering up the microphone.
Okay, great. Thanks. No problem.
Well, I won't be shy about kicking it off. I have three questions.
Please.
Tell us about your stand on rights restoration.
Yes.
Tell us how you feel and what your platform is in terms of gun violence and gun ammunition and gun control in the state.
Yes.
And give us a little bit about how you feel about women's rights, because your predecessor in this office has been simply atrocious.
Yes.
I assume you are not going to, if elected, sue the state university.
You can assume and take that to the bank. That's exactly right. Let me take those in order, and actually want to also address the last point that you made. First, with regard to rights restoration, I am in full support of automatic restoration of rights for nonviolent felons. I think it's it is a critical issue, and the fact that it was beaten back and defeated by the Republicans, even when Governor McDonnell himself came out in support of this. That shows you how extreme I think some of these folks have gotten. But I am in support of it. I've, again, been a federal prosecutor, so I know what it's like to convict people of crimes, of felonies, and hold them accountable. And I think it's critically important that we hold people accountable. But what also is important is that we give people another shot. I think it's we incentivize good citizenship. So you have people who have come out, who have paid their debt to society, who want to rejoin society. We want them to be taxpayers. We want them to rejoin their families, raise their children, set a great example. And so for all those folks who on election day, I think when their kids look up to them and say, well, mom or dad, I see, my friends, parents are voting, and why aren't you going? And they say, oh, well, I can't vote because, I did this in my life. I think we need to give those folks a second shot, and we need to give their kids a better example to look up to. And so that's why I'm fully in support of the automatic restoration of rights for nonviolent felons, and I hope that we get movement on that. And I'll certainly speak out about that. Your second point, I want to make sure I get it, was about gun violence. And specifically, let me tell you where I am on that. We have got to do, as I mentioned before, everything we can to reduce gun violence. It is a public health crisis. I've seen public health advocates come out and say this is threatening and endangering the lives of our children, and we see it. We see it in cities like Chicago. I mean, we see it in instances like Aurora, in Newtown. This has got to stop. This has got to stop. And so we've got to take action now. I am fully in support of universal background checks for all gun purchases. I think that's critically important. It's something that 90+% of people support. and so there should be movement on that. I'm also in support of banning the high-capacity magazines. I think there is no purpose for them other than to do the most amount of carnage and damage that they can possibly do to human beings. I'm fortunate to have family members who have great perspectives on these issues, including one who's been a hunter his whole life, and he told me that I don't need 100 rounds to go hunting. It's not meant for that. It's meant for much deadlier things that present such a public health crisis for us. And so I think we should ban those high-capacity magazines and be very sensible in the way that we address that issue. And mental health is obviously a significant issue and something that we've got to look significantly at. There are privacy protections for certain, and we need to be very careful about some of those things. But we also need to be careful about people who could endanger our families and our communities and our kids getting a hold of these weapons and what can happen as a result of that. So I think those are issues where we immediately need to take action and need to make headway on them because they're too important. We've seen too much damage, and we've had too many of these instances, and we say, okay, we're not going to deal with it now, we'll deal with it later. Well, later is now. Later is now, so we've got to get moving on those things. And then your final question, you had women's rights. I really am passionate about this, and I want to talk to you about this. And actually, in my household, I say women's rights are men's rights in my household. I care so deeply about this. I was raised by a strong woman. I'm married to one, and now I'm raising one. And so for me, it is about all of us standing up. It is about all of us standing up and fighting for those rights, those hard-fought rights. I talk to my mom and other women in my family, and they say, I can't believe we're back here. I thought we fought those fights. I thought we won those fights to control our bodies, to control our reproductive choices and our health care. I thought we had won that. But that shows you how easily it can slip away. And so I will fight, I promise you, on that front to protect a woman's right to choose, the right to reproductive health care, to make her own decisions. These regulations with regard to healthcare clinics and abortion clinics. I think that it was shameful what the Attorney General did in bullying the Virginia Board of Health into reversing itself on those regulations. And so, you could expect something completely different from me as Attorney General of Virginia. I will stand up for those rights. And again, for me, they're not just women's rights, they're men's rights because we need to be in that fight too, without question. So thank you very much for those questions. Thank you. Any others, please?
Yes, I wanted to ask you, I believe that the Virginia General Assembly passed a law on requiring government-issued photo IDs for voting.
Yes.
Which I know some people have described as a modern-day poll tax.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, what can the Attorney General do about that? Or what would you do about that if you were elected Attorney General?
Yes. Well, thank you for that question. It's critically important and very timely as well. And I want to get to what I think the AG might be able to do on that front. But, the Supreme Court, as you all know, just heard oral arguments in the Voting Rights Act case dealing with Section 5, which is the pre-clearance measure of the Voting Rights Act. Such an important piece of legislation. It has resulted in expanded access to the ballot box for so many people all throughout this country. And I'm hopeful that the Supreme Court will do the right thing and uphold Section 5, but we don't know. We don't know what they're going to do, and that shows you the importance also of our federal elections and our state elections. I am completely against this voter ID bill. I think it's shameful. I think it is meant only to suppress the vote, and we've seen this. Folks come to us with these solutions in search of a problem. They can't point out this widespread voter fraud that they talk about all the time, they scream about on TV. They haven't been able to produce the evidence. And again, as a federal prosecutor, I tell people, I had the burden of proof. If I came into court empty-handed with no evidence, that case gets thrown out, and I'll probably get yelled at by a judge. Somebody yell at these folks, and let them know that they have not produced any evidence that would support the institution of a voter ID bill. We know the impact of it, we know the effect of it, and we know the intent of it. And so, with regard to what the AG could do, I think that this law is going to be reviewed, again, hopefully under, a regirded Section 5. And so, it's not clear at all that it would pass muster constitutionally. But I think that it's something that an AG should weigh in on, and I would look at it very carefully and see if there are things that we can do to make sure that that bill doesn't, have that impact of suppressing the vote and not letting people exercise their very fundamental right to vote. So it's something I would look at intently about what we could do. But I'm hopeful that the Supreme Court will do the right thing and that this would not pass constitutional muster as a result. But thank you for that. Very important question. Any others, please? Please. Oh, sorry. Please, yeah.
I'm wondering if you can explain a little bit more how the things that you originally presented to us relate to what an attorney general does. You talked about the making more funding available for people who need it in the community. Are you talking about redlining? Are you talking about fairness in lending? You talked about education dollars being available. You talked about criminal issues, making communities more safe. That the AG's office writes appellate briefs in criminal cases, and the AG sits on some commissions. Is there something more here than that? Because it seems like a very small part of what I understand that the AG actually does.
Yeah, I'm happy to tackle those, and I'll sort of tease them out. And I'll start also by saying this. On each of those fronts that I talked about, whether it's the public safety front, but certainly cleaning up the mortgage market, getting more transparency and affordability in the student lending market to increase access to higher education, and also more access to capital in the community to start and grow small businesses. This is what other attorney generals across the country have done already. And so if you look to other states like Kentucky or California or Delaware or New York, you have AGs, Democratic AGs, who have made great way on all of those fronts, using the statutory authority that they've gotten for their individual state codes, but then also there's been authority through the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the Dodd-Frank Act that has empowered state AGs to enforce federal law and regulations, and so you have a much broader array of tools in the toolkit to address each of those issues that you talked about. So I'll just very quickly go through each one, and I'm happy to answer follow-up questions. See, I just have a few minutes left. But for instance, on the mortgage market, there was a settlement, which you may know about. 49 state attorneys general joined in the settlement. It held the 5 largest lenders and originators accountable for abuses in that market, robo-signing, dual tracking, wrongfully taking people's homes without proving that they owned title to those homes. And there was a $25 billion settlement that was signed into law as a court decree. It's temporary. It's 3 years. And so it's going to go away. It gives protections to homeowners now, but it's going to go away. I think that those things should be permanent. They should be written in the code, and they should be tools that the AG has going forward to protect homeowners from the exact abuses that help cause the mess that we've seen. So that's one area. Another area with regard to student lending, again, transparency in these student lending contracts, full information, affordability. These are things that should be required by state code, but they certainly, by federal law, are things that are required, that lenders are clear with their terms, that they let folks know exactly how much they're going to pay back and have to pay back, on what time schedule and on what terms. So again, enforcing those laws and demanding that transparency and affordability and holding those student lenders accountable is something that produces that result. We then have students going in knowingly and fully informed about the loans, and also being treated fairly and not being deceptively trapped into some loans they really can't afford just to get an education. And then with regard to your final point, access to capital in the communities, there are a couple different fronts. One, you mentioned redlining. It's a significant problem, and that's where banks sort of exclude certain communities from getting access to capital and treat them unfairly. And so there have been some significant settlements on that front, again, pressed by state attorneys general, who have said, you're not going to do this in our state. You're not going to do this to our citizens who are just trying to get ahead and be treated fairly in this economic marketplace. And so we would make sure that that happens here in Virginia as well, that we combat that as well. And also crowdfunding, alternative sources of access to capital is something that started up. We need to have investor protections there. The AG can play a significant role on that front. So we protect investors, but also protect people's access to those alternative sources of capital so that they can start small businesses in a safe way, in a way that grows the pie for everyone, that benefits all of us and our families and our communities. So it really is modernizing the Attorney General's office to focus in on those issues and to have success on those issues that people really care about, and we've seen it done around the country. It's not been done here because Ken Cuccinelli is focused on all the wrong things, these divisive social issues, these things that divide us. I like to say Ken Cuccinelli spends 100% of his time on the 10 or 20% of the things that divide us. And I think that's shameful and has not resulted in any progress for our families. That's going to change if you elect us Attorney General. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you. And thank you all. I think I'm out of time. Love to come back anytime. Thank you all so much. Thank you. We're going to fight for